What's up, wellness besties? We are back for another episode of Yoga Socialite. And today we are talking about something that feels so needed right now: spring cleaning for your soul. You know how we love to do things here, short, sweet, and to the point, so we are gonna hop right in. What's up, wellness junkies? It's the girl with the business brain and yoga body, Sabrina Zealous, welcoming you to Yoga Socialite. This is the place where asana meets aesthetics, so we're here for the good vibes, the cute fits, and the real talk. Let's get into it. So bear with me. Let me just apologize for not having last week's pod. I was actually gonna play with making last week's pod a vlog, and for my YouTube friends and Spotify friends, you'd be able to watch it. And it would have like a voiceover of like what was going on throughout like that day or throughout that week. And then I was going to kind of test out playing with like true podcast episodes, like where we dive deep into a topic like today, a few mindfulness practices, and then vlogs, and then try to combine them all together. Because my vlogs, I think, have enough verbiage that if you're listening to this on Apple or one of the other podcast stations that doesn't have a visual aspect, then you would still get the vibe and you would still feel the energy. However, so many things shifted last week, and I'll get to that, stay to the end. And I just didn't have the time or the energy or the space to hold for that. Also, when I started recording that original vlog, it's when I lost my voice. So it was like, watch me teach like 3 classes in that day, and then all of a sudden my voice is gone. So it was an interesting transition. I was like rewatching the footage. I was like, some of this footage is really good. Some of this footage is like sad because you could just see like where I was starting to get sick. So we are going to shift that, but we are going to explore some vlogs, and we might try that for next week's episode. But hopping into our spring cleaning episode, it feels so natural because it's April and it's springtime, and in the desert, it's like Coachella time and like all the festival season. Like that's how you know spring has sprung, is that it's festival season. And you know how we Marie Kondo our closets, clear out all that old junk, make space for that fresh new energy of spring and those fresh new outfits? Well, what if I told you that your mind, your body, and your spirit need that same kind of decluttering? Would you agree or disagree? Today, we're going to talk about what it means to clean out the emotional and mental clutter and start to feel more lighter, clearer, and more aligned. And at the end of this episode, I'll guide you through a beautiful spring cleaning meditation to help you release what no longer serves you and invite that fresh, renewed energy. Before we dive in, like I mentioned, I'm gonna try to incorporate vlogs and things into the podcast. There might be a few weeks where we don't have a podcast and I'll hop on and do like a quick little voiceover, or we'll do like a recap of an old podcast, as I am embracing some spring cleaning of my own and some changes. So stay tuned and make sure to like and subscribe if you're watching this on YouTube. So why do we need to spring clean for the soul? As you see, we are back into the hot seat. We're back into our normal area of the podcast, and it just felt right when it's talking about spring cleaning, because this is probably the cleanest place ever. I could eat off these floors. Like our house is so pristine and so clean. But first things first, why is spring the perfect time to like reset? In nature and with the season, spring is all about rebirth. Flowers bloom, the days get longer, the energy shifts from the stillness of winter to this fresh and expansive vibe. And just like nature, we undergo seasons too. Just like the moon, we have changes too. Winter tends to be more of an inward season, more reflection, more hibernation, and honestly, sometimes more emotional buildup. Especially, and I've talked about this in the podcast before, we go into these seasons where we have back-to-back holidays. And in those back-to-back holidays, not only is work more consuming and you have so many things to do before, for those of you who get to take a holiday, you get into the holiday season and spend that with friends and family. And you also are bringing up past energies from seeing like old friends and family, like especially if you go back to your hometown for holidays. So I've mentioned that on the pod before. We're not going to do a deep dive on that, but there can be emotional buildup during the winter season because there's just so much stuff going on at once. So whether it's stress, limiting beliefs, or just old habits that we swore we would leave in January, because of course we just had, our New Year's. And, for me, I always say New Year's doesn't feel like it until like the end of January, beginning of February, but we just had New Year's. We need to ask ourselves, what do I need to let go of? And I say do this not even just in a season, but even maybe just month to month. What this month worked well for me? What didn't work well for me? And what do I need to let go of? What is taking up space in my mind, my body, and my spirit that I no longer need? What is causing me pain, confusion, and needs to be reevaluated? Just like you wouldn't hold on to clothes that don't fit anymore, and actually some of us do still hold on to clothes that don't fit on anymore because we're thinking, I'm gonna get back into those. But I recommend you don't. Every time I bring something new in, I take 2 things out. That's just like my rule. We don't need to hold on to these thoughts, these emotions, these habits that don't fit the person we're becoming, that don't fit I don't want to say higher or best self, because sometimes that doesn't leave room for grace, but our favorite person, our favorite version of ourselves. So let's talk about how to clean house. The 3 areas to declutter are going to be your mental clutter, your mind, your emotional clutter, your heart, and your physical clutter, your space and your body. We'll start with mental clutter because we all have those mental loops, the overthinking, the self-doubt, the what ifs that keep us stuck. And mental clutter can be information overload. It could be doom scrolling. It could be comparing and consuming without processing. Mental clutter could also be being in trauma and triggering situations where your mind doesn't have the space to release that because you're constantly experiencing it. So my spring cleaning tip for mental clutter is to do a mind dump in your journal. If you don't have a journal, open your iPad, your MacBook, the notes section of your phone, and do a brain dump or a mind dump. Mel Robbins talks about this a lot. Maybe I will link in the description a little Mel Robbins brain dump 411. But what you do for a brain dump is you basically write down everything that's swirling in your head. From worries, to-do lists, to random thoughts, to maybe something someone said that like is on repeat. You dump all of that, you write that out. And this usually is very helpful at night before you go to bed so that those thoughts are not consuming you through your sleep. And it's also can be helpful in the mornings when you first wake up to just kind of get everything out of you. Then we categorize them. What actually needs action? What needs to be released? And what needs 0 attention at all? And trust me, just seeing that out can make a huge difference. Because sometimes we look at things and we think things are so much greater than what they really are. And then we brain dump and you realize, okay, maybe I can solve this a little easier than I thought I could. And then also sometimes it's good to see it out and have keep record of your brain dumps. I call it kind of a processing playground. One of my mentors, Mia Togo, calls it a processing playground. And I will kind of go back and look at several different brain dumps or mind dumps and look at things that are repetitively on there. And that's something that you may have to consider, gosh, do I need that in my life anymore? Because it's a continuous energetic issue for me. Do I need to let this go? Now, moving into the emotional clutter, which it all kind of flows together, because if it's becoming mental for you, sometimes it will tie into your emotions. Think about holding on to old resentment, unfinished conversations, energetic ties to people or situations that drain you. If you have not listened to our soul ties episode on the OG pod, when it was the Wealthy Moves podcast, or the current one where I kind of revamped it, definitely make sure to watch or go to my Instagram, because I have a whole how to cut soul ties how to, and I'll make sure to post a little picture of it over here. But people and situations that are continuously draining you, that leave you emotionally heavy, and are causing your energy to be frantic, to not be the energy that you know it to be, that disrupt your energy in a way that is not for a positive outcome. It ain't nothing to cut it off. That's a song. It ain't nothing to cut that off. That's the edited version of the song, but you gotta cut those soul ties. Long story short, you gotta cut those soul ties. Emotional clutter keeps us heavy. And if there's one thing I know about, it's energy. I'm very energetic, and I've talked about this on, being an empath and empathy. I am very sensitive to certain energies. One day I was at Coffee Bean, and kind of in the Rodeo Drive version of the Palm Desert Rodeo Drive version area. And there was a lady who decided to have an arguing match with this young man. They had no relation to each other. And she was walking her dog, and there was a dog that was off of its leash, and the man was trying to warn her, hey, ma'am, watch out for your dog, watch out for your dog. And she took such offense to it, she didn't realize he wasn't criticizing her dog. He was trying to protect her dog because there was another dog coming that was off leash. And instead of realizing that, it became this big arguing match. And I was sitting outside with my fiance, and I was having coffee with him. We were having a beautiful freaking day. I think it was actually maybe even a day that we looked at my ring and I didn't know I was getting proposed to yet. But beautiful day, sun is shining, palm trees, flowers, you're basically on the Rodeo Drive of the desert. And you see these two people start bickering. And I got up and I said, honey, I have to leave. My energy is that sensitive. I can handle constructive criticism. I can handle, difficult conversations, but I do not like chaos energy, especially when there's no need for chaos energy. It's one thing to take anger and chaos energy and use it for something good, like Mothers Against Drunk Driving. That was taking anger and frustration of what happened to a child, and you turn it into something good. But it's one thing for it just to exist because people think that is okay, and that's the behavior is acceptable when it's not. So what you holding on to that and keeping that in your energetic space is not what you actually want. It will stunt your energetic growth, and it will hold you in a place of where you can't tap into those divine downloads, where you can't tap in to your favorite self. So my spring cleaning tip for that is of course, soul ties, a cutting soul ties ceremony. If you don't remember that episode, you don't have time to go run back and listen to it, I'll just give you a brief little cutting soul ties. One, you can take an Epsom salt bath, because Epsom salt not only helps release the physical things in your body, but it can also help release energetic and emotional energy. Then you might write them a letter, kind of like a brain dump, letting go and saying I release this, thank you for your service, but this is no longer serving me and it has to go. Then you could also remove them from your phone. You just start to make these releases. So there's a whole step, a whole process. Again, check the description of this podcast so that you can go through that process it's so funny because it just seems to like pop up every once in a while. Like I'll be writing a podcast episode and someone will be going through something, and then the cutting soul ties comes back, which was the most popular episode 2 years ago on the pod. One of the most popular episodes for this year on the pod. So it's really interesting. But releasing those old grudges and just setting the intention to move forward with a lighter heart can make such a difference in your life. And you might even just ask yourself, what emotions, what energy that is not mine am I carrying that I'm ready to put down? Then physical clutter, your space, your body, your environment affects your energy. Cluttered space equals a cluttered mind for the most part. Like that's why a lot of times when you watch those hoarder shows, they bring out like therapists and doctors and things to talk to these people, because the hoarding, the clutter is stemming from a larger issue. Maybe it's the way that you're nourishing yourself. Maybe there's a lack of movement. Maybe you haven't, taken yourself for a walk or gone to, the yoga studio or did your own personal practice. Maybe it's even just the energy of your home. You have stuff like piled up because you're depressed or you're going through something and you don't know how to process it. So things start to pile up around you. And my spring cleaning tip for that is to clear one space in your home. Whether it's your closet, whether it's a drawer, whether it's the kitchen table, whether it's just your table in the living room, your coffee table. And create a space that feels fresh and aligned of who you are now. And then if you have different areas of your home that are experiencing clutter, then go through each one of those areas and start to clean them out. But pace yourself. Don't try to overdo it. Don't try to do it all in one day. And then also you might ask yourself, why was I allowing this clutter? What in me emotionally or mentally do I need to let go? And for your body, I want you to move in a way that feels good. Right now, I haven't done any yoga. I know this is Yoga Socialite Pod. I haven't done any yoga. I have taken a little yoga pause for this week. I haven't done yoga since last Thursday, and today is Thursday, so a week of no yoga. But what I have been doing is I've been going on long walks. We have a lot of rolling hills where I'm at, so a lot of like hilly walks. And then I've been doing a lot of just kind of strength training things, like, walks with like ankle weights or having weights in my hand, or, of course I keep up my squats. If you know. If you've ever taken my Yoga Lattes class, I am a squat queen. So of course I've been keeping up my squats, but I have been really just giving my body some R&R. So moving in a way that feels good for you. Maybe that means no movement at all. For me, that meant no movement at all this week. Maybe that's a dance party. I love to dance. Maybe that's just even stretching in the sun. There's been a few days where I've just laid out on our back patio and just had the sun on me and just laid in my sun chair and just looked at the beautiful flowers and the palm trees and listened to the birds chirp. That was the movement that I needed. Whatever makes you feel alive, please do that. So setting intentions for this new season, now that we've talked about releasing and we've talked about some spring cleaning tips for our mind, our bodies, and our emotions, as well as our physical space. Now we're going to talk about what we are inviting in. Because spring isn't just about letting go, it's about making space for something new. And I want you to ask yourself, what do I want this season to feel like? Not look like, what do I want it to feel like? Do you want more ease? Do you want more joy? Do you want to be more present? And take a time right now, and if you're listening to this driving, then I want you just to think it or say it out loud if you're in the car by yourself. Write down a few words or say it out loud that capture the energy you want to bring in. I'm giving you that time to do so. As I take a little sip from the country cup. For those of you who are not watching, I have a little country cup. One of the members of my old yoga studio had this cup, and I've been obsessed with it. And it's just literally, I think I don't know if I talked about it on the last pod, I might have, but it's my favorite thing in the world. It's got longhorns and cowboy boots and cactuses. And, you know, I'm a Texan, so I love a country cup. So now that you've got that, and you've got country cup stuck in your head, one of my favorite practices is a seasonal mantra, something simple that you can return to whenever you feel stuck. And try something like this. I'm open to fresh possibilities. I'm creating space for joy. I'm releasing the old and embracing the new with ease. Find a mantra that feels like spring to you and let it guide you this season. Now we're going to get into our spring cleaning meditation practice. And again, if you're listening to this and you are driving, just listen to it. But go home later. We're probably at like the 20-minute mark. So go home later and maybe put the video back on at the 20-minute mark and do this exercise where you can be in a comfortable seat or laying down. So I'm going to invite you, for those who are watching, and if you have the space to do so, find a comfortable seated position or lay down if that feels right. And I'll invite you to soften your eyes, or you can close your eyes completely. And as we normally do, for many of my practices, we find 2 cleansing breaths to go in. Taking a big inhale through your nose. Exhale, sigh it out of the mouth. One more, just like that. Big inhale through the nose. Exhale, sigh it out of your mouth. And now just allow your breath to go to its natural state. And imagine yourself standing in a beautiful open field. The sun is shining, the air is fresh, and there's a soft breeze around you. In your hands, you're holding a small box. And inside this box are all the thoughts, the emotions, and the habits that no longer serve you. And I want you to take a moment to notice what's inside. Maybe it's doubt, maybe it's fear, maybe it's something or someone specific. And whatever it is, we acknowledge it without judgment. Now, in your mind's eye, picture yourself gently placing that box on the ground. Notice how the wind around you starts to pick up. And as it does, the box begins to dissolve, disappearing into the air, carried away by the fresh spring breeze. Notice how much lighter, how much clearer, how you feel free. Now place your hands over your heart and take a deep breath in and silently say to yourself, I am open, I am ready, I am renewed, I am free. And when you're ready, gently open your eyes, welcoming the sights and sounds around you. Take a moment to stretch, to smile, and to step into the rest of your day. I thank you all for watching this. I thank you all for participating in our spring clean meditation practice. And before I sign off, I just want to take a moment to thank all my students, my friends, my yoga community, I have so much love and so much gratitude for each of you. And, you know, life is all about transitions, and the only constant is change. And it is with a heavy heart. It is not without a heavy heart, is the way I was going to say it, that I have made my transition. And I love everyone so much. And I thank you all for your encouragement and your shared energy. And it has meant everything to me. And as the podcast continues on, I'm going to again take some breaks. And if I need like a full, like maybe we'll take a spring break for next week. We'll see how it goes. I'll try to have a really fun episode for y'all because I've been putting together this vlog, and I've been recording some stuff this week too, which has been fun, and some car shows and things like that, which has been really fun. So we'll see how it goes, but I'll always keep you updated. So make sure you've subscribed so you don't miss a thing. I'm also doing some outfit reviews this coming up week. I got some really cute outfits. I'm getting a few of them tailored. So we'll do some outfit reviews, but I'm wishing you the lightest, the brightest, and the freshest energy this spring. And until next time, stay aligned, stay glowing, and I will see you on the Yoga Socialite pod soon. Have so much love, everyone. Have a beautiful day.